we really are
Well,
that
no,
much
I mean,
involved,
no, I mean, yes, I mean, oh, I don't know what to say really. Yeah, I mean, we don't,
alright.
yeah, we don't
No.
know much about it, no.
Right. But in terms of, you heard about what's happening there.
Yes.
And do you think that military invasions are actually acceptable in this day and age in the
No,
21st
absolutely
century?
not, no.
Shocking, isn't
Yes,
it?
Yeah.
And
shocking, yeah.
if there would be one thing that you could say to Mr. Putin, what would it be?
Couldn't
There's a lot-
repeat it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that could be said, but when you're dealing with somebody who's basically a madman,
Yeah.
how can you comment to a madman? You desperately want him to stop. You
And
desperately need
And
him
he's
to stop.
lying to his own people as
Yeah.
well.
And
which is-
when you're blinded by it all and you can't see the truth, it's so very difficult
yeah.
for the people in Russia. I mean, for us to see it from our side, it's just horrendous. It's totally horrendous.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a madman, what can you do? What can you do with a
Yeah.
madman? And he is. He's yeah.
Thank you so very
Yeah,
much.
thank
Thank
you
you
very
for your
much.
time.
Okay.
Pleasure.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Have you heard about Ukraine?
Of course, yes.
Have you heard about Ukraine before the conflict?
Yes, I have been in the Ukraine even
Oh,
before.
wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. And what do you think about Ukrainian society? Do you think that it's a democracy?
Yes, I'm a student of international relations actually, so that's why I know a little bit of the history. So from what I see, like from the when the Soviet Union fell, and of course it separated everything. And yes, I felt the democracy grew a little bit, and mainly with Zelensky, I feel he's very democratic.
And do you think that military conflicts, like what's happening there right now, actually have a place in this century?
Yes, I suppose, and I suppose there's more to come, and of course I don't agree with what's happening, but for some reasons sometimes it happens. I think there's like a lot of history correlated points there, that's why it's happening, but it correlates depending on what they are fighting for.
And if there was one thing that you could tell to Mr. Putin, what would it be?
Stop the war, please.
Oh, good, awesome. Have you heard about Ukraine?
Oh, for sure.
Have you heard about the country before the invasion?
Not a lot.
not a huge amount,
really.
no.
Huge amounts, no.
And nowadays Ukraine is obviously on the front pages all over
All
the
the time,
world.
yeah.
What do you think about Ukrainian society? Do you think that they have true democracy in the
I
country?
think they do, yeah, it appears to. I mean, I don't know too much about Ukraine, but from what I see and what I hear, I think they have, yes.
And obviously circumstances are quite challenging.
Yeah.
And
I'd say so.
and actually about the military invasion, do you think that military conflicts and invasions like this are actually acceptable at this day
Not,
and
not,
age?
not acceptable at all, no.
And if there would be one thing that you could tell to Mr. Putin, what would it actually be?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? There's so much to say, but I think he's invaded. It's illegal. I don't think he should be there. He should leave your country to their own. I know there's been some conflict for many years over there, sort of on the periphery of the Ukraine. And I think he should just step back and get out and let the country
It'd be nice to see
progress.
peace this year
Yeah, indeed.
for the country.
Okay.
Thank you so very
You're
much.
welcome.
Next question I wanted to ask is, have you heard anything about Ukraine?
Yes,
Yes, of course, yeah.
Have you heard anything about Ukraine before the war started?
a little,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little.
About it.
Yeah, we love travelling. So
have you been
we
there?
haven't been. We have been to Russia.
Right.
Yeah, but we've been to some of the other countries in the Balkans. Yeah.
Yeah, Balkans, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
sister-in-law, my last sister was in Romania for many years as well, so yeah, no, I've been
Yeah.
there.
And have you heard anything about Ukrainian society? Do you think that Ukraine is a true democracy?
I think it was.
Yes.
Well, it is. It's
Yes.
just struggling to maintain that at the moment.
Yeah. And in terms of, well, the world heard about military invasion, about the war that's happening in Ukraine right now. What do you think? Are military invasions actually acceptable at this day and age?
Yeah.
Or
Not at all. It seems completely illegal and shouldn't be happening. And,
terrible.
yeah, there's obviously a lot behind the reason why it's happening. It's a little subterfuge from Russia. So.
Yeah.
And if there would be one thing that you could tell to Mr. Putin, what would it be?
I think just stop being selfish. He's doing it for himself and not for anybody else. He's not doing it for the Russian people or for Russia, and hurting Ukrainians and everybody else, really. So, yeah.
He needs to be locked away.
Of course,
Yes. And have you heard about Ukraine before the invasion started?
Well, we knew of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And have you heard much about, do you know much about Ukrainian society? Do you think that Ukraine is democracy?
No, it's not, is it? I don't think it is it?
Yeah, we just want to know your your opinion.
No,
No.
don't think it is, no.
Okay, and obviously nowadays Ukraine is at the front pages all over the world. And do you think that military invasions actually have time and place in 21st century?
No, definitely not, no. Definitely not.
And if there was one thing that you could ask, could tell to Mr. Putin, what would it be?
Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing, because it's crazy. And no one else in the world agrees with you, so you're just being, mad.
It's very easy. Have you heard about Ukraine?
I look up what's happening in Ukraine every day.
And have you heard about Ukraine before the invasion? Yeah? Have you heard anything about the Ukrainian society? Do you think that Ukraine is democracy?
Yeah.
And what about that military conflict that is happening right now? Do you think that invasions like this have a place in 21st century?
No place at all. It's only backward-thinking Russian oligarchs that seem to want to conquer the world, isn't it? It's just not going to happen.
And
We've got to stand up to the bastards.
That's right. And actually the last question on this note, if there was one thing that you could tell Mr. Putin, what would it be?
Go and fuck himself.
Right
Up his arse. I've got nothing to say to that man that would be of any good to anybody.
They're going to translate this into hopefully the right language.
The sooner the little bastard drops down dead, the better.
Awesome.